What's up, everyone? My name is College Sports Survived, and I welcome you back to my second ever virtual March Madness tournament simulation, this time with the help of 2K23. The last time we did this was back on 2K21, and I had a ton of fun with it, and the reception was also good as well. I couldn't do it on 2K22, however, because I was away for work pretty much all of last March, and it takes a ton of time getting the entire tournament field ready. About 20 teams are missing in the base roster this year, so I'm the one who's got to fill in those blanks. But I'm happy to say it's back for 2023, and we have some catching up to do with the real tournament, so let's tip off this simulation. Back in 2K21, however, we went round by round, but this time, I'll switch up the format and see how you guys like it. We're going to go region by region this year, playing through the entirety of the South region today, and we'll let the Final Four have its own episode, just like in 2K21. So without further ado, let's tip it off, starting with the first game, the number 1 overall seed, the Alabama Crimson Tide, facing off against the Texas A&M Corpus Christi Islanders, who won the Southland Conference. One more thing to note though is I didn't make custom courts for the first couple rounds, but when we get to the Final Four, I'll definitely make a replica of the real life court. I'm sorry about that, guys, but it was already a ton of work putting this together. Another awesome thing about this virtual March Madness tournament is it gives me a chance to discuss with you guys about the real life bracket, how your brackets are going and how mine went. Obviously, I was a big Alabama believer, just like a lot of people, as the virtual March Madness gets underway with the first game of the tournament, the heavy favorites picked by most people in ESPN's Tournament Challenge, the Alabama Crimson Tide at home here. But yeah, so obviously I was a big Alabama believer. They were my champions. So the loss to San Diego State in real life was devastating, as they go on a big run in the first half, actually drop over 50 points in the first 20 minutes, and then the Corpus Christi Islanders, the 16th seed, storm the way back, and on a 19-12 run, they close the gap to 2. It was a 53-36 game at halftime, but Texas A&M Corpus Christi looking to put on their FDU pants and shock a 1 seed here. Stepping it back there is Javon Quinterly, the Nova transfer, who came off a torn ACL to have a pretty productive senior year. Gotta love stories like that. So he'll extend the lead to 2 possessions. And it's pretty funny. I did not expect the first time we jump in and watch the end of one of these games to be the very first game of the tournament bracket, as Trey Tennyson, the leading scorer of the Islanders on the season, gets 2 there from the elbow. And Charles Bediako will run the baseline, and they'll get it back into Javon Quinterly, who looks to put up more clutch points, this time via the free throw line. So the southpaw will step to the line. It's actually Mark Sears, the point guard, who makes 2 of 2. 77-73. Last chance for the Corpus Christi Islanders. There's a big 3, wasting almost no time. 77-76. Islanders back within a point, and that's about as picture perfect as it gets there whenever you need a bucket with time dwindling, because now with 10 seconds to go, they have no timeouts, but that will guarantee that it'll be within a possession, even with 2 makes here by Quinterly. The first one goes. Surprised not to see Brandon Miller with the ball in his hands at all here at the end of this game, but this one goes as well, off the back iron and in. So 79-76, 8 seconds to go, time ticking down. Corpus Christi Islanders trying to recreate what we saw in real life. Tennyson from the corner, he gets it, he greens it, and it's 79 apiece with only a couple ticks to go. Trey Tennyson approaches 40 points here in this virtual ball game. He's got almost half of Corpus Christi's points, and he is becoming a virtual March Madness hero. Now, a big difference between the virtual game and real life March Madness is that here you get the inbound from half court, as unfortunately Quinterly can't win the game for the Crimson Tide. But as you guys may know, in college there's no advancements at the half court timeline. That is an NBA exclusive rule. That's going to be something that they will have here in the virtual March Madness tournament, as here in overtime it's actually the Islanders who jump out to a 4-point lead, but then some unanswered baskets will give Alabama a 5-point lead with 42 seconds to go. Islanders looking to make a late surge, 25 ticks left. They get it within 4, 11 seconds to go. They make a 3. Alabama calls their last timeout to set up an inbounds play to at least get the ball in, and they do successfully. So Mark Sears back at it. at least Alabama's been making their free throws down the stretch. That's been a big culprit in real life for pretty much the inception of college basketball, is missed free throws, as we saw clearly with Virginia and Furman in the first round game. That's one of many examples, as Mark Sears misses the second, so the Crimson tied up by only 2 with once again 10.4 left to go, just like in regulation. This time though, Corpus Christi only needs 2. So inside of Trey Tennyson, he's approaching 40 points, but he's got the Gatorade symbol. He looks for a screen. He'll step it back for the win. It is out. It rims out. Oh my goodness. A matter of inches away from replicating what the Fairleigh Dickinson Knights did in real life. It was a great look, a great screen as well, but Trey Tennyson can't continue his magical performance into an all-time shocker. It doesn't get much closer than that, than going in. 23 from Noah Gurley, 22 from Javon Quinley, with a couple of big free throws that really needed every point they can get there at the end. But a big shocker here, Brendan Miller, only with 1 field goal on the game and 4 turnovers. He struggled in real life. Obviously, he was dealing with a groin a little bit there in the tournament, at least in the round of 64. But yeah, they really didn't have him much here tonight, as Trey Tennyson puts on a show, 38, 6, and 7, as Terrion Murdix also drops in 4 threes as well. So playing the winner, or rather playing Alabama, will be the winner of West Virginia and Maryland. This was a game I got wrong, unfortunately, because I was an idiot and I switched it to West Virginia with like barely any time left to go. I was actually getting on a flight as this game tipped off. This was the first game of the real life tournament. So as I was sitting in the airport terminal, I'm like, I don't know, maybe I should go with Bob Huggins' coaching and their defense. So I did flip it there at the end, and it was looking good for the first 20 minutes in real life. Not so good in the final 20 minutes, as the Terps pull it off in real life, and they pull it off in the virtual March Madness tournament as well. Not as crazy of a finish here in virtual land of basketball, but 79-67 will be the final score. The Terps move on to play Alabama in the second round, and the virtual tournament is 2 for 2. No, Don Carey with 18, 4, and 5 to lead the Terps, along with Hakeem Hart, 17. Dante Scott didn't really have a big game though, 4 and 8, only 3 field goal attempts, as the Mountaineers had 1 standout performer, Eric Stevenson, with 21, but not a lot of help outside of number 20 there, as Emmett Matthews, their leading scorer on the year, only 1 for 7 from the field. Now we'll move on to the 5 and 12 game. San Diego State, one of the many surprises of the real life tournament, going up against the Charleston Cougars. This was a pretty popular upset pick for a lot of people. I was not one of those people. I thought about it long and hard, but personally, I just liked San Diego State's defense, and I thought they would be able to quench the high-scoring offense of College of Charleston. And as you see here, they're doing it in the virtual tournament as well. Only 19 points surrendered in the first half, and they were pretty much able to coast from then on out. 78-56. In real life, it was a lot closer. It was 63-57 in real life, but Matt Bradley and company, they take care of business. A 22-point win, as they will be moving on to the next round. Matt Bradley, 21, 4, and 4, as Trammell, that is Darion Trammell, with 8, 9, 5, and 5. He's been a big culprit as to why they've made a March Madness run in real life, and he's also got a very inspiring story as well. He was shunned by a lot of even D2 programs coming out of high school. I just saw this on the internet the other day, but he kept working with a personal trainer, went JUCO, I believe, and then got 1 scholarship offer to San Diego State, and now he's a starting guard on a Final Four team. Gotta love that, those types of stories. A double-double from the 2-guard Smith for Charleston. As we move along to the next game, we got Virginia and Furman, the 4 and 13 matchup. And this is going to be very interesting because obviously you guys know in real life, one of the craziest games, not just of this tournament, but any tournament. I listened to it on the radio on the way home. Wow, what a performance from Furman. That final steal on Kahi Clark, as it's a 2-point Virginia lead at halftime. And look at this. Not much has changed in the virtual bracket either. We got a minute 20 to go, and we're going back and forth here. 55-54, the Paladins lead as we jump in with a minute and some change to go. Furman with the lead by a point and the possession. So we'll see if Furman can recreate what they did in real life and see if the virtual bracket can go 4 for 4 here in the early stages. This is Mike Bothwell, the point guard, delivers a beautiful dish to Jalen Slauson for 3. Opening it up a little bit. There's the Southern Conference Player of the Year, Slauson, with a huge triple. 58 to 54 here under a minute to play. Look at Slauson, or rather this is Mike Bothwell who's hyped. Hey, look at him pumping up the crowd, and it's completely different on the other end. This is Beekman with Jalen Gardner kind of going at it a little bit here. Not some friendly exchange there. Some teammates bickering here a little bit as they try to avoid yet another upset. If you followed basketball at all over the last couple of years, you know about the heartbreak for UVA. Obviously, Ohio, UMBC, they're trying to right their wrongs here in the virtual tournament, and this will definitely help. Ahmad Franklin from the corner. Nice play design there by Tony Bennett as well. He lets Jalen Gardner go ISO there from the elbow and then kick it out to the open man. I like it. I like it. 32 seconds to go. Furman from the elbow. That'll be Mike Bothwell for 2. 60 to 57. Timeout Cavs. Will they go for the 3 again? There is a shot clock disparity. We'll see if Jalen Gardner, let's see what he's got. He's ISOing his man, going back and forth. Little shake and bake, trying to out-muscle him. Kicking it out to Clark. This is Beekman, 10 to shoot. Kahi Clark. Nice backdoor feed. Inside to Jalen Gardner. Almost nearly getting the 3-point play to go. Oh, man. Jalen Slauson with almost a mental mistake there, but luckily the ball didn't drop in. But a big miss there as that one rattles out. Gardner, that is a big miss. He can only get it to 2 here with a made free throw. 12 ticks left. This one's up and this one's good. So 60 to 58 game now, 12 seconds left. Very similar situation to real life, but unlike UVA, Furman does get it in, and they do send Mike Bothwell to the free throw line. 60 to 58, 10 seconds to go. Point guard for the Paladins. First one is good. Can't extend it to 2 possessions, which would pretty much all but seal Virginia's fate. Bothwell. This one's way short. 8 seconds to go. Overtime on the line. Kahi Clark for 3. It's over to Franklin. You can't make 2 in a row. Paladins hold on, and the virtual tournament improves to 4 for 4 here. I cannot believe it, but they guess another one right. 63 to 58 is your final. Unfortunately, Clark could not right his wrongs there. It was a nice pass there to try to end, or rather tie the game there. As Bothwell finishes with 17, it's a game high. But yeah, it was pretty surprising. Not surprising, but pretty nice pass there. As JP Pogues, the hero in real life, was only 1 for 10 in this one. He's the one who hit the shot for Furman to put him up a point near the end. But yeah, pretty crazy, especially whenever you consider that shot that Franklin missed there at the end to try to extend it to overtime. That's basically the same exact spot on the floor that JP Pogues made his 3-pointer. So that's pretty crazy. 6 and 11 here in the round of 64 for the South region. The 6 seed Creighton Jays against the 11 seed NC State Wolfpack with their deadly backcourt duo. Honestly, I think it was that backcourt duo that really led them to be somewhat of a popular upset pick. I honestly liked Creighton a lot, but the virtual tournaments like in the Wolfpack and Turquavion Smith and Jarkel Joins, so obviously giving some Blue Jays some trouble here. A real-life Elite 8 team who's one of the most balanced offensive attacks in the country, but it'll be a 59 to 59 tight one here with a minute 26 to go. This was a pretty good game in real life as well. You saw Turquavion Smith with that dunk over Creighton 7-footer, Ryan Kalkbrenner, but this time it'll be Alexander soaring up to the cup. That was Trey Alexander, the Creighton point guard, kind of recreating Turquavion Smith's dunk a little bit here in the virtual game. This time it's Creighton with a big poster down the stretch of the game. It's 61-59, but quick as a water bug. Turquavion Smith, who was only listed at, I believe, 160. He's very thin, but he makes up for it with being the quickest player on the floor more often than not. So NC State gets the stop, 61 apiece, looking for the upset. The virtual March Madness bracket, trying to keep its virtual hopes alive of a perfect bracket. 3 seconds to shoot. It's kicked out for 3. Joins is off the mark, but somehow in a sea of white jerseys, it's an NC State big who scoops it up and keeps the possession alive. 5 to go. Rotated around. This is Greg Gantz from the elbow. It's blocked. It is blocked. Baylor Shireman, who's a really good offensive player, he's actually the one who blocks the shot and keeps Creighton's hopes alive. 10 seconds to go. It's Trey Alexander on the outside near the logo. 4 seconds to go. Gets the screen. It's a good look for the win. It is just rimming out. So Creighton and NC State will be our second overtime game of the March Madness tournament here in NBA 2K23. We'll see who closes it out in the overtime period. It's NC State with the lead, and they've led the entire extra period. 1 minute to go. It's a 5-point advantage, and we're gonna hop in here with 40 seconds to go. 75 to 70. A basket here to make it 3 possessions and pretty much shoot down Creighton's only chances of making it to the next round and recreating this Elite 8 run. It's kicked out to DJ Burns for 3. 78 to 70. That'll be the end of Creighton's March Madness. 82 to 75 is your final, with Terquavion Smith starring in this one just like he did in real life. This time though, he gets the win. 21 points, 6 assists, 3 made 3 balls. Jarkel Joyner with 17, 4, and 4, and DJ Burns with that big tray ball down the stretch. Not a big 3-point shooter, I don't believe, but he did hit the one to make it a 3-score game down the stretch. 14 for Alexander, 13 for Kalkbrenner, and 13 for Ryan Nebhard. His older brother played at Gonzaga, so that's if you might remember that name. So Baylor and UC Santa Barbara up next. This was obviously one that Baylor was heavily favored in. I got this one right. I got every game right so far except for the West Virginia game in my bracket. And so just like the virtual March Madness bracket, they got every game right except for one, as NC State's win snaps their streak. But the Gauchos keeping it close with Baylor, who's trying to make their second Final Four in the virtual March Madness tournaments. They made it back in the 2K21 version as well, when they had that stacked team that won it in real life. 85-73 will be your final, as the Baylor Bears just pull away from the Gauchos, who put up a very valiant effort. But this Baylor offense is scary. Keontae George, who just declared for the real-life draft, by the way, as I'm recording this, and Mario Flagler, a couple of players that they still retained from that stacked team that basically wiped the floor with everybody a couple years ago, as Flagler almost scores a 30-point triple-double to begin his March Madness run. He was an assist and 3 rebounds away from a 30-point triple-double. And then AJ Mitchell, the leading scorer on the Gauchos in their regular season, he puts up 13, 4, and 4 in this one in a tough loss. So in the round of 32, it will be NC State against Baylor. Let's find out the last round of 32 game. First off, we got Utah State against Missouri. I got this one wrong, so this would make it number 2 that I got wrong in the South region, round of 64. I had Utah State just because I like their offense. I watched them a lot in their conference tournament. Even though the well ran dry, they didn't score a lot of points in their conference championship. They did have a really fun offense to watch, and I thought they'd be able to break Missouri's defense. Sadly, they only put up 65 points in real life. They only put up 63 points in the virtual March Madness tournament. This is actually really close to the real life game. It was 76 to 65. Missouri won in real life, and this one will be a 12-point loss instead of 11. 75 to 63 this time around. So Missouri, this is another one that the virtual bracket gets right, with Kobe Brown, that really stout and strong wing who's got a nice game inside and out. He puts up 19, with Mosley putting up 14, and Demoy Hodge put up 10. Sean Bairstow and Max Shulga with 16 and 10 apiece, respectively. But their top player on the year, Taylor Funk, really struggled in this one. Arizona and Princeton to round out the round of 64 here in the South region. So obviously, We all know the story of Princeton, another 15 seed from Jersey getting it done. Luckily, I had Arizona losing to Creighton in the Sweet 16, so I wasn't hurt too bad by this one in real life, but still, gotta cheer on these teams. But look at this, the Princeton Tigers, perhaps inspired a little bit by their real life counterparts, they're up 44-28 at the half. But there's plenty of basketball left to be played. Let's see if Arizona can avoid a similar fate to real life. It doesn't look like that's going to be the case, guys. I was so shocked. I didn't even get into the game in the last couple seconds. My jaw was dropped. I totally forgot, as Princeton holds one of the best offenses in the country to only 42% shooting and 5 of 30 from behind the line. The Princeton Tigers with 20 points thanks to Ryan Langberg. He led all scorers in this one. And honestly, I can't believe it. The bracket virtually gets another one right. And I was actually kind of happy to see Arizona lose a little bit as Corny Ramey, the Texas transfer, drops 19. But in real life, I thought they were a little cocky. They got into a couple near fights. They almost scrapped with Cincinnati in the preseason tournament and with Tennessee when they beat them on the road. So it was actually kind of nice to see them to get some karma, I guess you could say. Sorry to any Arizona fans out there. So now in the round of 32, we got the 1 seed Alabama Crimson Tide against the 8 seed Maryland Terps. This one was pretty handily won by Alabama. This was a real life game that they took 73-51, but it doesn't look like they're on pace for 73, only scoring 22 at the half. And the Terps are trying to take control down in the twilight of this game, up by 15 at one point. Bama trying to storm back here at the end, but to no avail. Our first 1 seed goes down. The Crimson Tide don't make it past the second weekend of the NCAA, or first weekend of the NCAA tournament, second round, I should say. 72-58. The Terps dance on to the Sweet 16, and we'll play the winner of San Diego State and Furman. Don Carey again leads the Terps, this time with 19, and Jameer Young, their star-studded point guard, with 12 and 10. And this is why I wanted to do this virtual March Madness bracket, as you see Brandon Miller again invisible, just like in the first round of the virtual tournament. But this is why I wanted to do it, because no matter what happens here in the virtual bracket, it'll be, we're not even shocked anymore at this point with all of the craziness that happened in real life, as here in the round of 32, the Terps will either face San Diego State or Furman, the 5 versus 13 game, a game that we saw in real life. Unfortunately, Furman, their run came to an abrupt end as San Diego State only allowed 52 points in real life, but it's Furman who opens things up on a 20-6 run. But then the Aztecs come storming back. They get it to under a bucket heading into the second half for a second. Then Furman makes a buzzer-beating basket to put them up 5. We'll see if the SoCon champions can hold on here. 2:10 left to go. The Aztecs just need a little bit more offense. This was the big concern for a lot of people heading into the bracket, is that they didn't have enough offense as a team. We'll see if Matt Bradley, their best offensive player, can take them out of their bad start to begin this game and survive. Here we go, 36 seconds to go, he kicks it out. It's Siaiko for 3, back iron, it's off. And that will probably be their last chance at saving this one. Furman just needs 1 to make it a 6-point game and 2 to make it 3 possessions. Slauson missed the first, the second one is up and it's off, but it's scooped up. Jarrett Heim will seal the Aztecs' fates in this one, thanks to grabbing a huge offensive rebounds, and he extended to 3 possessions. So we got a 13 against an 8 next round in the Sweet 16. Insanity has already been happening here in the virtual March Madness bracket. Very excited to see Furman against Maryland in the next round. Jalen Slauson, the SoCon Player of the Year, coming up big again with 14. And take a look at this. Matt Bradley with only 12. Darion Trammell, nowhere to be found. So some of their best players not really bringing it in that one. So San Diego State, no Final Four appearance in this one. It's going to be a different region winner. And it may be one of these 2 teams, Baylor against NC State. This was the only first round game that the virtual bracket got wrong here in the South. NC State, they took down Creighton, and they're favored to take down Baylor as well, up by 6 at the half. We'll see if they can hold on. Wolfpack behind their star-studded backcourt of Joyner and Smith. They lose the lead here with 1:20 to go. We'll see if they can come back and make it interesting. 70-67. Baylor again trying to make noise in the March Madness tournament. They got a bad roll with Creighton playing so well, but this time around, NC State takes care of them. So we'll see if Baylor can make it past the round of 32 virtually. Quavion Smith pounds the rock, gets the screen from the hero of the last round, DJ Burns, as he gets it to the corner. It was a good look, but the would-be tying shot does not go, so it's still a 3-point game. They put Baylor in the bonus, and this is LJ Cryer for 2 shots here. The first one is good to extend it to 2. Unfortunately, I couldn't put the 1-and-1 rule on, but yeah, he would knock down 2 of 2 to make it 2 possessions, and just not enough time for the Wolfpack. So 72-70, Baylor will head to the Sweet 16 to face the winner of Missouri and Princeton. 22 from Flagler, again starring, as him and LJ Cryer, who were both freshmen on that national championship team, they become the core of this Sweet 16 Baylor roster. Keontae George, not much production, but he got a lot of help though. Terquavion Smith 16 and 7, but Joyner only with 7. Well, 7 assists is really good, but only 4 points. So Missouri and Princeton. Now the Tigers, they honestly kicked the butt of Missouri in real life. They played such a sound game, beat them by 15. Will the virtual March Madness have something similar in store? Well, we're dwindling down the first half of action, and it's a big run to take us into the locker room. 16-point game for Missouri, so it looks like they're trying to get revenge for the devastating loss they were dealt in real life, and it looks like that will be the case. 85-51, the biggest margin of defeat here in the March Madness tournament, as Isaiah Mosley puts up 27, and they didn't even need Kobe Brown to put up all these points. He only had 2 points, but they played so soundly everywhere else it didn't matter. So Missouri gets the revenge and will face Baylor in the Sweet 16 here in the virtual tournament. Tosan Ibovwam, yeah, I try to pronounce that name. Me and my buddy, we watched in Princeton play, and we were trying to pronounce his name. He's from England, yeah, so I forget. I think I heard it over the broadcast once, and I already forget, so we'll just move on. So Maryland against Furman as we move on to the Sweet 16. A trip to the regional final on the line, an 8 versus 13 Sweet 16. You don't see these very, very often. In fact, an 8 and 13 has never been a seed pairing before, as Maryland's up by 10 here at the half. But the last time a 13 seed reached the Sweet 16 was the 2013 LaSalle team, and before that it was a 2012 Ohio team who took UNC to overtime whenever Kendall Marshall broke his wrists. Yeah, that's a name I haven't heard in a while. But 69-48 is your final. The Terps, they beat down the Paladins here in the Sweet 16, so there will be no history made. This could have been the first time a Sweet 16 or a 13 seed has ever made the Elite 8, but unfortunately that would not come to be, as Maryland makes the Elite 8s and will face the winner of either Missouri, the 7 seed, or Baylor, the 3 seed, and that will be the second to last game of the video. JP Pogues with 14 and the loss, as once again Maryland has the same guy stepping up. Don Carey led them in scoring yet again. So the 3 seed Baylor, the 7 seed Missouri Tigers. Let's find out who will be playing Maryland in the regional final with a chance at a Final Four berth, as we see Missouri's up by 4 at the break, 38-34, but Baylor's had some great second halves to lead them to victory time and time again in the first 2 rounds. So we'll see if they do it again. Well, they kind of do. They storm back, they tie it up 55 apiece with 2 minutes to go. Elite 8 on the line. The winner will face the Maryland Terps in the regional final, as it's already a turnover immediately when we check in, as Mario Flagler, thinking a little ambitious, tries to get it inside to Flo Thamba, but now he turns it over. So exchange giveaways to begin this one, as it's Demoy Hodge, who's been one of their best players all season long. Him and Kobe Brown are 2 offensive threats, as he gets the angle and a nice teardrop in the lane, puts it makes it a 2-point game. So 57-55, Tigers on top. It's Demoy Hodge again after they get the stop. A minute off the clock, a minute to go. Hodge for three. This one is off the left iron. Bridges grabbing the rebound. Mario Flagler up ahead as Flo Thomba's got the height mismatch. That's 5'10". Clemson transfer Nick Honor trying to stop him, and that's just not enough, as you can obviously tell. So 57 apiece, seconds left to play here in the Sweet 16. On the outside, Hodge wants the screen, tries to get it inside as it's deflected by Bridges. Somehow the pass still gets in there though, and it's dunked down by a Missouri Tiger big. Look at this on the replay. I think that deflected off of maybe his shoulder. No, it was his back. Bridges was all over it, but unfortunately it takes a Missouri bounce, and Bridges, as you can tell by the body language, doing everything right there on defense, but still not enough. He's looking frustrated there. So we'll see if Baylor's got a way to respond to some bad luck. 41 seconds to go. Baylor out top to Mario Flagler, trying to muscle his way through. Gets a screen from Bridges. He'll step it back for three. Yes! Tally it up for Flagler. What a shot. As the seasoned veteran, the huge one there. 27 ticks left, 20 on the shot clock. I didn't change the shot clock to 30 seconds because for some reason the AI in this game, weird things happen whenever the shot clock is in 24. So we ran into that problem back on 2K21. Anyway, Demoy Hodge, he wants the lead. It's a good look, but it rims out into the hands of Nick Honor though. Missouri, no timeouts. They get it back mid-range. Decent look again, but it's off the back iron. So it looks like Baylor will hold on. Less than 3 seconds to go. Not enough time for Missouri to get a clean look at it anywhere inside of half court, that is. So they missed their full court heave to potentially take them to the Elite Eight. So Baylor 61, Missouri 59. So here in the regional final, it'll be the 3 seed, the Baylor Bears, against the A seed, the Maryland Terrapins. Both teams who have put up a lot of offense in this virtual tournament. Baylor's been a tough offense to stop outside of the last game where they barely broke 60. But here we go. Can Baylor make their second Final Four in this virtual March Madness series? Or will Maryland be an 8th seed that takes it all the way to the Final Four? Well, the Terps are down by 10 at the break. Gonna have to get that prolific offense going. Come on, where's Don Carey at? He's been awesome. He's been superb. One of the best players in the entire region. But unfortunately, just not enough in the tank for Maryland. Baylor, you know, they got Scott Drew. He likes to play defense every once in a while. Not one of his better teams defensively that he's fielded while being at Baylor, but still a team that can force enough turnovers, and they hold Maryland to 53 points while they continue to pour it on here. Keontae George, the newest NBA draftee, or future draftee in real life. 75-53, a bit of an anticlimactic regional championship, but Baylor gets it done by 22 points, and they will be the first team in the virtual March Madness bracket to be playing in the Final Four as they punch their ticket very soundly, and overall just a very impressive performance. So as we wrap things up, we'll be taking one last look at the box score, obviously, from the regional final, but also at the end of every episode, I'm going to show you the bracket, and I'm going to show you the all-region team. They have this in real life where they highlight the best 5 players from each region in real life. That's something I wanted to put together for you guys as well. So what I did was I took the best 5 players from this South region, in my opinion, and I put them on a list together, and that'll be what we end off the episode looking at. But first, I wanted to take a look at the virtual bracket, obviously here in the South. And I was very shocked in that first round whenever the simulation got every game right except for Creighton against NC State. But then in the Sweet 16, got a little bit more hairy. We saw Furman make the Sweet 16. Maryland marched their way to the Elite Eight after knocking off Brandon Miller in Alabama. But Baylor, they make their way to the Final Four as our first team, and we'll also be looking at our all-region team as well. So next episode, we'll be hopping into the Midwest region with Houston, the second overall 1 seed, but our all-region team, the all-South team, is Adam Flagler, who put up 21-7 in 4 games. They make the Final Four. He leads his Baylor Bears back there. Terquavion Smith from NC State, dropping 18.5 points, 6.5 assists in that upset over Creighton. Trey Tennyson from Texas A&M Corpus Christi. I know he only played 1 game, but he had 38-7 in that near upset against Alabama, so I had to give him some respect for sure. And also we see Don Carey from Maryland. He actually kind of stole the show there. 18.5 points, 3.5 assists per game for the Maryland forward. He helped his Terps get all the way to the Elite Eights and give Baylor a run for their money there. And then Noah Gurley in Alabama. He was probably the surprise of the whole tournament. It wasn't Javon Quinterly. It wasn't Brandon Miller who had the big games for them. It was Noah Gurley who had over 20 points average through 2 games. But unfortunately, they got dropped off by the Terps. So that concludes the first episode of the virtual March Madness tournament. Next time you see me, we'll be hopping into the Midwest region featuring the Houston Cougars and a healthy Marcus Sasser. So here we go, guys. We'll be hopping into that next time. I can't wait to see you then. Hope you had fun in this one. I sure did. And I'll be seeing you next time. So I hope you guys have a great night. This College Sport survived. Happy to be back. I'm signing out. See you next time, guys. Peace out.